change. To me, to explore what we're doing in this project, what we're doing with the NeuroVizr, what we're doing with these light sound experiences, you have to look at change to really understand it. So I've got 3 quotes to begin with. 2 of them are not mine. One I'll think is mine, I'm not quite sure. You know, I used to be in healthcare practice, and I had a brochures, and that brochure listed different services and techniques and so on. On the front of it, because of some long experience, I had a saying, a kind of a quote. And what I said was, if you want things to be different, you're going to have to change. Because what I found is that, and not in every person, but quite a lot, a person would come, they would want things to be different. And then when they became different, they were willing to change. And it doesn't work that way, at least not in my experience. So if you want things to be different, you're going to have to change. And much of what we'll be talking about a little bit later is the fact that the brain itself physically can change. So change is not just kind of a psychological attitude, it is a physiological fact. So change. In the human potential movement, which goes back to the 70s, early 80s, there was quite a famous controversial psychiatrist, R.D. Laing. And psychiatry was going through a lot of shifts and changes. And he had an interesting point of view of saying, he said, if you keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again, but you expect a different result, that's the definition of insanity. Now, that might not be exact, but that's a pretty close paraphrasing to R.D. Laing, right? If you keep on doing the same thing over and over again and expecting some kind of change, you're crazy. When I've done my best to explore this incredible thing called change, or if you don't want to call it change, call it adapt. Or if you don't want to call it adapt or change, maybe grow, learn. Do you want to keep on growing? Do you want to keep on learning in your life? You will need to change. You will need to adapt. In exploring change, inevitably, you bump into this thing called information. And I studied, cybernetics and systems theory and information theory, and I was always, I never felt confident until Gregory Bateson, who is now passed, an incredibly complex, broad thinker. And he solved for me the issue. He has 2 interrelated definitions or formulas of what is information. He said information is news of change. When something changes, the news, the exposure, the awareness of that constitutes information. Meaning if nothing is changing, it has very low information content. When things are changing a lot, there's a lot of information. Then he nailed it to the wall with a second related saying. So the first is, information is news of change. The second is, information is a difference that makes a difference. So difference is another way of saying something changed, right? So not every change actually makes something important, but you have to have this kind of sensitivity to things when they shift and change. So the criticalness of consciousness, the absolute importance of processing information, of being able to encounter information and make change, that's what drives me, and that's what drives this project and is driving the NeuroVizr experience, I'll say, not just the device itself. So change. Change itself is a topic, of course, of enduring fascination. The earliest book to explore, right now we're using digital technology, ones and zeros. A long time ago, brilliant unknown sages did the same thing. They looked at binary codes, they called it yin and yang, and we have the I Ching. Right? The I Ching. I is classic, Ching is change. It's the classic of change. So understanding how to navigate change is, to me, at the heart of a successful life on Earth.